What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV here, back again with another Tottenham update for you guys. It is Boxing Day. There's been so much football going on, but the transfer rumours never stop. Joining me today for today's update is the fantastic Brian Daigle in the building. How are we doing, Brian?
I'm doing very, very good, Simeon. How about your good self?
Yeah, always good to have you to talk to, Brian. Always good to have
Pleasure.
your opinions on the channel. So let's start with the Telegraph. And this is a story about Ivan Toney, and Ed Aarons is saying that Tottenham are amongst amongst a number of clubs who have discussed a potential move for Brentford forward Ivan Toney. Brian, Toney obviously scored 20 Premier League goals this season. He's been out for the whole of the season up till now because of the suspension due to his bets. There's a lot of talk about him moving on in January, seeing as he's one of the most sought after strikers in the Premier League. I think all Tottenham fans would probably agree that he would probably improve us in terms of that number 9 position. But do you see any world where Tottenham are signing Ivan Toney?
None whatsoever. Not parallel universe, maybe. Not this one. I think the money we do spend, and however much it is we do spend, needs to be mainly focused on the centre back. This will be a huge outlay for any Premier League club, and we're not known for doing this in January at all. I just can't see it. I just can't see it.
Well, but I think a number of clubs been reported to be interested in him. There's Chelsea, there's Arsenal, apparently as well. Do you think if we went up against those sides, maybe I don't think our pay packet could be as good as Chelsea's, but like, do you think maybe we could sell them a project here of what we're really building, and maybe he would be willing to reject some of those other bids?
I think we could sell anyone this project. I really do. I think we're probably in a better position than we have been for a long, long time. I think we can see Andrew's here to stay for the foreseeable, please God. The football we're playing is a brand of football people want to play with or play. The team looks settled. The team look like they're going places or trying to. I think it's easier to sell this project than it is to sell Conte, even with Conte on Mourinho's name. It's just, will we fork out this sort of money in January? And I just, like I said, can't see it. But I think the project is very sellable.
Yeah, I completely agree. I just find it hard to believe, especially in January, that Tottenham are really going to splash over 50, 60 million for Ivan Toney, especially with Richie now hitting form. Son scored 11 Premier League goals already this season. I don't see Levy or whoever justifying a massive outlay for a striker who obviously is a fantastic Premier League striker and does offer different things to what our strikers offer. You know, probably a bit better hold-up play, a bit stronger in the air as well, although Richie's very good in the air. So he probably is. Obviously, I think he's probably an improvement right now on Richie, but I think there's a number of things to consider. First of all, we have 2 number 9s who are scoring. That's the truth.
Yep.
What kind of condition is he going to be in after 6 months out
Precisely.
playing football? And also, there are a bit questionable things about his character. Some people have brought up. Obviously, the whole betting charge isn't great in itself, but you know, that I remember there were videos of him on holiday saying F Brentford and he wants to join Arsenal and all these things. Obviously, they were kind of in jest, but maybe it talks to a bit of a character issue. He did that podcast on, I think it was Diary of a CEO, and I watched it, and I don't know. I don't think he came across fantastically, albeit he was trying to get his side of the story across. But I don't know. I just think for a massive outlay, I just don't know if it's necessary at this point. As much as if we do sign him and we were to actually go big on him, obviously it'd be very exciting and I'll be all for it. But
yeah,
I think there are a lot of question marks about him.
I think you're right. I think right now, obviously, Tony's been doing it the last couple of years with Brentford. I think now, like we were speaking earlier, you've got Solanke coming through, younger, could offer become a better player. You've got someone I love, Cameron Archer, who I think there are other players here. And I think what you were saying about his temperament and everything could have a major factor in this, because obviously Ad wants the right type of players. And as he said with players in the summer, I want players that want to come to this club to play for this team, not because they want out of their current club. And who knows where Toney is on that barometer.
That's a fair point as well. But yeah, I think we can both agree it's probably unlikely he'll sign in January. If it is going to happen, I think it'll be probably one that happens in the summer. So I don't think January's realistic. Next up, a story from Ben Jacobs regarding Jean-Clair Todibo, and he is claiming that Tottenham are currently pessimistic about completing a deal for central defender Todibo to join in January after opening talks with Nice. A new centre-back still remains a priority for Spurs. So he's claiming that maybe, I'm guessing that they spoke to Nice and the price is going to be higher than expected, potentially, for Todibo. Obviously, when we looked at the list of centre backs that we're interested in, we will alternatives and stuff. He's definitely going to be the most expensive for sure, and he's definitely going to be the one where you're going to have to fork out the most money. But as well, he's probably the least risk in terms of when you look at the other centre backs that we're in for. He's definitely the one that right now is showing the most promising quality. So for me, I would say for a centre back of his ability, it's probably worth the money. But Tottenham might be feeling that, if we can get a Lloyd Kelly or Tosin for, a quarter of the price, maybe we're better off doing that.
So you look at it, first of all, David Ornstein said something like this earlier on in the week. I retweeted it, and everyone's like, "Oh, he's an Arsenal fan. Oh, he's a Chelsea fan. It doesn't matter. What's he talking about?" And you look at it, whether he is or he isn't. It's a journalism that his life depends on, career depends on issuing good sources and having good facts or good rumours, whatever it is. And now it's Ben Jacobs. Now, if we're pessimistic doing it, could be one or two reasons. It could be Levy antics, or it could be the guy wants to stay at Nice, or there's another club involved. So it's a bit hard right now to say which one it is. But what I want to see with Tottenham this window is if they're if that's legit and they're pessimistic, or they think this isn't going to go ahead, stop wasting time trying to make something that's not going to go ahead, and go on to the next one that Ange wants and says, right, we're going for you now. All systems go. Let's open talks. Let's get this started. So we're not doing the normal nonsense that we do every January. This could be one of many reasons they're pessimistic. I don't want to believe it's Levy. I really don't. But we can't. No more of this muttering and stuttering. If the deal is dying, say okay, on to the next one.
I remember reading. I don't know which window it was. I don't know if it was the summer just gone, but I remember reading a report saying that Levy feels when you're able to agree a transfer near the beginning of the window, it always means that you haven't got the best price, kind of thing. Always means that you're probably paying too much if you've agreed a deal near, because teams usually change or soften their stance a lot come the end of the window. And obviously when you start a negotiation, it's a negotiation, it's a back and forth, isn't there? And sometimes that can take a little while. If you just agree on the first price, a lot of the time that's gonna mean that you probably could have got a cheaper price down the line if you waited, if you're able to agree a price early on. And maybe that's the feeling here, like they've spoken to Nice, and obviously the window's not open yet, and they've set a price. And maybe it's a case of if Tottenham had the patience to wait near the end of the window, they could get the price they want. But because there's a real need to get a centre back in so early, that maybe they're more willing to move on early on if the price isn't right. That's probably what the scenario is if I was being logical. But obviously, it's only one report, and they're saying pessimistic, not improbable, not impossible. So maybe they're just maybe they're not that far apart in terms of what the agreed deal would be.
So let me just first of all, let's add to this. If it shouldn't matter if he thinks, oh, this is too much, a deal could get done further down the line. It may well be able to get a few million off further down the line, but Ange wants this player in now. We don't know when Van der Ven's coming back. These are massive differences. When Liverpool, and I will always use this reference, when Liverpool wanted Van Dijk all summer and they couldn't get their man, they phoned Southampton or however they dealt the deal, right, we want him in January. How much? 75 mil. Okay, here's 75 mil. It was announced on New Year's Eve, New Year's Day at 75 million. He's at Liverpool, and we all know what has happened with Virgil van Dijk. If a player is there, and we're not talking 75 million, what we're talking 35, whatever. Why are you thinking, oh, okay, that we might be able to get a cheaper deal? If this is who Ange wants as number one, This is who the club wants. This is what the team want. Get it done. Get it done. In case what I've been saying and what other people have been saying, we haven't got any. What we achieved.
Yeah, just a bit of money off, basically,
Exactly.
at the expense of probably a few results potentially in January and whatnot. But look, let's see what happens. The window is only 6 days now from opening, so I really hope we do act quickly and get some players through the door early on, because we're very short numbers. We're going to be even more short numbers in next month as well. So new faces through the door is definitely vital. You can see Ange definitely feels there's a need for that. So let's hope that they are acting quickly. But the latest news from Ben Jacobs is we're pessimistic on Todibo in particular. Next up is an Italian publication called Bianconera. Bianconera, I believe they're like a Juventus publication out in Italy. And they have given an update on the Pierre-Emile Hojbjerg situation, and they're saying that Tottenham and Juventus are getting closer in a deal for Pierre-Emile Hojbjerg. Allegri has made it clear that Hojbjerg is his favourite choice ahead of the likes of Calvin Phillips. Spurs are now open to an initial loan, but prefer a loan that includes an obligation to buy clause. I mean, obviously, I think most clubs in this position would prefer an obligation to buy, because it essentially means you're selling him permanently. So, that's logical. I've won, if we do have someone really lined up for him, I would take a loan with an option, not necessarily an obligation, because I do believe Hojbjerg is a good enough player to convince Juventus to sign him permanently after they've had him for a few months. So I wouldn't mind a loan with an option, as long as we're not using the fact that it's an option, not an obligation, as an excuse not to sign a replacement.
Oh, I hadn't even thought of that. There you go. But you know what? The more and more we hear this, the more and more this one is really heating up, isn't it? We're saying that we're very depleted in midfield once Sarr and Basuma go. This one is taking more and more heat now. We've heard other rumours say, yeah, he can go if a replacement is coming in. So maybe with this heating up, there is a replacement coming in, whether it be a swap deal with loans both ways, options to buy, whether it be Gallagher, Phillips, whoever it may be. The one I want, Gibbs White, who knows? But I can only assume and hope that if this Hojbjerg deal is heating up, there is a midfielder waiting in the wings, because we cannot let him go without a replacement.
But it would be interesting if we are dealing with Juventus over this deal, because we are reportedly interested in a couple of their wingers, Samuel Illing Jr., and there's Matthias Süle, who's currently out on loan, but apparently we're interested in him as well. So I wonder if there's a kind of a pro quo to be done here, in terms of we give him Hojbjerg, we get something back for less money or whatever it is. That would be interesting. And also, obviously, we've dealt with Juventus before, and the deals for Kulusevski and Bentancur were like pretty creative deals, weren't they? I think Kulusevski was that 18-month loan deal with an option to buy. Bentancur was a fair. I can't remember if Bentancur was an option, was a loan with an obligation, or was it straight fee? It was a straight fee, 20 million or something.
Straight fee, yeah, 19 or whatever.
So we've dealt with them before. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's a good relationship there between Juventus and Spurs.
Yeah, the one thing I'll add with that, Sim, is like I said, the two players we're looking at are wingers, which don't help us when we need that midfield replacement. So it's all well and good getting that winger. That puts something we were talking about earlier today, a position that we need. But more importantly, that midfielder has to be in. We can't go all month without him, or whenever this deal gets done, without a midfield replacement, in case we're shooting ourselves in the foot, aren't we?
Yeah, true. We're definitely going to, because if we got rid of Hojbjerg without replacing him, it means we would only have Skip, really. We'd have Kulu and Gio, who can play in the centre as well. But that if one of those gets injured, and all of a sudden we're even shorter, and who knows if that three would work anyway. Exactly. So 100% that would be a bad situation. So I just think for the long term as well, if Hojbjerg does leave, that he will have to be replaced. Last but not least is a report from Inter Live, out in Italy. They're claiming that Postecoglou has explicitly requested to the Tottenham board that the club signs Roony Bardghji, who is a favourite target to strengthen the attack. Roony Bardghji is represented by CAA Base, who shares a good relationship with Spurs. The club can now move to sign him next month rather than wait until the summer. He plays for Copenhagen. He's an 18-year-old winger who really set the Champions League group stages alight with some really good performances. Scored a goal into Man United as well during the group stage. He's a kind of a pacey winger who's left-footed, likes to play on the right a bit more. But he obviously is 18, but he's seems to be breaking out. He's into a bit of a future star. For you, when you're looking at signing a winger right now for us, does it bother you kind of age, experience kind of thing, or is it just kind of if he's got the attributes, I'm sure Andrew's going to be willing to give him a chance?
Yeah, well, I mean, if you look at what that tweet's saying and we take everything about his age out, it says Ange has said this is the one. Ange has said this, apparently, according to these sources, this is the one. Ange has said, go out and get him. So let's see if that is true. If the club do go and get it, I would imagine dealing with Copenhagen will be a lot easier than dealing with some of the other clubs that we link with players, obviously at Premier League level or top European levels. If this is who Ange said he wants as a priority, then there's no excuse not to get this done. None.
Yeah, especially seems that there could be a deal to be done there. I do wonder what kind of price Copenhagen will be demanding for him. He does seem to be really sought after at the moment, given his breakout of form this season. Obviously, I think in an ideal world, I prefer someone who's more naturally on the left, but he is left-footed, so maybe we've seen how adaptable he is, haven't we, with playing players in different positions. So I'm sure if need be, Ange can get him to be playing on the left at a good level. But yeah, look, it would be an 18-year-old, but I kind of feel like our wingers at the moment, we've got Johnson who's young and he's quick, but we feel like we don't have that real explosive one-on-one ability, and maybe even though he's young, a real explosive wing like that who can take people on at will, that would be the best scenario rather than going for someone who's more of a well-known name.
I mean, with these ones, Simeon, I actually don't mind if they're like the Dele Alli deals that we did. Like we sign him and he stays on loan for the rest of the season, and then comes to us in the summer. So at least you've got, if this kid is as big as he's or people thinking he's going to be, and they're calling him obviously that wonderful label, the Wonder Kid, then surely you want to wrap these kind of deals up, not wait and see and go, oh, we'll go in the summer. If this is who Ange wants and he sees future, then get it. And if need be, loan him back. But obviously, Ange will know best, the Spurs board will know best, or the directors of football will know best, and we see what we do. But with Ange apparently saying this is the one I want, it's down to the club now. Let's see what happens.
Yep, completely agree, and it'll be interesting to see if Spurs do pull the trigger on that in January. But Brian, appreciate your time as always, mate. Thank you for joining me on today's update. Go check out more on Tottenham on Tour if you haven't already to see more of Brian Daigle and the rest of their crew. But appreciate your time as always, Brian. But that's all we have for you today for today's Tottenham update. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.